he could visit the booze shop and buy beer. "Good day, old fella," said the pleasant young man who was there a couple of days a week. "What do gentlemen of the road have to say today?" "It's snowing," he replied. "Proper snow," the lad added. "A proper winter," he said, and winked roguishly. "Any chance you could slip me a few coins, my friend?" There was a ka-ching as the boy opened the till and scooped a palmful of 100-kroner coins from the drawer. "There you go, old fella," he said. "Go and get yourself a bite to eat." "Yep, I sure will," he lied. "A burger." He could see from the young man's expression that he didn't believe him. Not that it mattered. "What's your name again, my friend?" "My name's Stegen," the boy laughed. "As I tell you every time you come in here." "Names don't matter," he mumbled on his way out. "Just eyes. The eyes tell you everything you need to know about someone." This Steng had friendly eyes, with a spark of mischief behind them. The eyes of a man rebellious enough to steal from the shop's cash register, but at the same time, friendly and charitable enough to give an old drunk small change. He strolled along Laugavegur, the snow settling on his head as he walked, forming a crown that melted until his thin hair was soaked and he began to shiver with the chill of it. At the corner of Snorre Brot, he crossed the street and went into one of the tourist shops. The thin, miserable man who worked there immediately threw him out. He tried to mutter that he only wanted to warm himself up a little, but that made no difference. The skinny guy was adamant that this wasn't the place for him, and glared at him with his blank eyes, threatening to call the police. That would be something, being pulled by the law in a shop in the middle of the day, as sober as a judge, and without even losing his temper. That would be a waste of a ride in a car and an overnight stay, so he left and walked briskly down to Kjørgaður. The heating under the pavement along this part of the street was easily enough to melt the falling snow, and before he knew it, he was indoors with a mug in his hands. He hadn't even needed to spend any of his stash of coins. The Asian lady who sold noodles there just handed him a mug and told him to sit down. She was loud, and he didn't understand a word of what she said, but she had kind eyes. He could see in them that she missed her parents, in a distant land far away, so she was happy to do a favour for an old guy with no home to go to. He sipped his coffee, which gave him a glow of warmth inside, and leafed through the newspaper on the table in front of him. On the first spread, there she was, Úrsula Sigurdardottir, with the news that she had become a minister. Somehow it didn't seem quite right that she could be as grown up as she appeared in the picture, but there was no doubt that it was her. Once again he had the odd feeling he sometimes got, that the lives of other people moved ahead along straight lines, while his own time went in circles. He took out his notebook and was about to write down these thoughts when his eyes strayed to the man at Úrsula's side in the photograph. They both smiled as they looked at the camera, but while her eyes were lively and cheerful, as they always had been, his were as cold as ice. These were the coldest eyes in the whole world. He stared at the picture and failed to understand how Úrsula, now a minister and whatever else she might be, could stand there and shake the hand of this man, the devil incarnate. Chapter 2. They had just left the marriage guidance counsellor's office that Monday when Úrsula's phone had rung and the Prime Minister gave her 2 hours to make up her mind about taking on the role of Interior Minister for a year, a post combining the ministries of Justice and Transport. Her eyes were still red with tears after yelling at Nonni in front of the counsellor, and she was sure her voice betrayed her upset as she told the PM that she would call back before the deadline. But she didn't really need 2 hours, and she didn't need to discuss it with Nonni before reaching her decision. She knew that she would make the call in good time, and that she would take the job. Nonni became weirdly excited and dropped his voice almost to a whisper, as if he was now party to some kind of state secret. His hand cupped Úrsula's elbow, steering her towards a coffee house on Skefan, where he took her to a corner table by the window. "So, just what did the PM say?" he whispered, taking a seat opposite her.